Picture a man, not a hero, not a villain, just a man, hunched over a furnace in the cellar of his own heart. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and burnt hopes. He is an alchemist, you see, a fool, really. He believes in the old magic. He believes he can transmute the base metal of his devotion into the pure gold of her love. So, he feeds the fire. He tosses in his time, his attention, heavy gleaming ingots of his life force. He throws in his patience, his forgiveness, his boundless understanding. He offers up his vulnerability, that soft, pale silver that tarnishes so easily in the open air. He watches the furnace roar, a vortex of orange and blue, convinced that with just one more sacrifice, the great work will be complete. He is melting down his own kingdom to forge a crown for her. But the curse of the alchemist is not that the transmutation is impossible. Oh no, it's far crueler than that. The curse is that the more gold he produces, the more common it becomes. The more he floods her world with his treasure, the more worthless it seems in her hands. He presents her with a perfect gold rose, still warm from the forge of his soul. She holds it for a moment. It's lovely, she supposes. But yesterday he gave her one, and the day before that. She has a whole vase of them now. They're starting to feel heavy, a bit gaudy even. She'd almost prefer a simple wildflower, one she had to find for herself. There is an old, forgotten tale from the jagged coastlines of the north. A story of a fisherman who fell in love with a selkie, a seal woman who could shed her skin and walk on land. He found her sealskin, hid it, and took her as his wife. He adored her. He built her a house with windows facing the sea. He draped her in silks and sang her the songs of men. Every day he would tell her, "I give you everything. My heart, my home, my name, everything." And every day a single silent tear would trace a path down her cheek. He thought they were tears of joy. One day, after years of this perfect, suffocating devotion, she found her sealskin hidden in an old sea chest. She didn't hesitate. She took it to the shore, slipped back into her wild nature, and disappeared into the waves without a backward glance. The fisherman was left on the beach screaming his love at the indifferent tide. He didn't understand. He had given her everything, but he failed to realize the only thing she truly wanted was the one thing he had taken away, the freedom to leave. His love wasn't a gift, it was a cage, beautifully gilded, but a cage nonetheless. You see, affection, your endless, reliable, unconditional affection, it violates the most fundamental law of human nature, the law of scarcity. We are creatures born of thirst. We do not value the river that flows to our doorstep. We value the distant oasis we had to bleed for. Recent work from the sociologists at the University of Leipzig, I believe it was a rather depressing paper from late 24 on receptivity saturation, confirmed this grim little truth. They found that in romantic dynamics, a continuous unilateral flow of affection and support from one partner to the other doesn't just fail to increase attraction, it actively corrodes it over time. The giver becomes predictable, a utility. Like electricity or running water, you only notice it when it's gone, and by then, you're just annoyed about the inconvenience, not heartbroken over the loss of the source. Your constant availability, your eagerness to please. It's like leaving a masterpiece by Caravaggio out in the rain. The gesture seems noble, generous, but all you're doing is communicating that you don't understand the value of what you possess. You treat your own soul as a cheap, endlessly renewable resource. Why should she treat it any differently? The brutal Machiavellian truth is that power, and therefore attraction, lies not in what you give, but in what you could withhold. It is the silence between the notes that makes the music. It is the shadow that gives the light its meaning. Your affection is not a currency to be spent. It is a force to be controlled. To be offered, yes, but sparingly, like a rare spice, not table salt. Stop feeding the furnace. The roaring fire you're so proud of, it's not a beacon of love, it's a funeral pyre, and the only thing burning in it is you. The true alchemy is learning to let the fire die down, to sit in the quiet, cool darkness of your own self-worth, to become so absorbed in the richness of your own inner kingdom that you forget you were even trying to win another's. And this is the final agonizing paradox. Only when you no longer need her validation will you have even the slightest chance of earning it. Only when the gold is locked away in your own vault does it become priceless to the outside world. So, here is my question for you, whispered from one alchemist to another, here in the dark. Look at your hands, right now. Are they empty because you have given everything away? Or are they empty because you have finally learned what is too precious to offer? She is not attracted to you, but to the shape of the hole you are trying to fill within her. He built a house inside her ache, a sturdy frame, for goodness sake, with walls of wit and doors of trust to keep her safe from doubt and dust. But when the ache began to fade and all the ghosts were duly laid, he found himself a draft, a chill, in a home that wasn't real. A guest, a ghost, a thing unmade. We love to believe we are chosen for our virtues, for our unique iridescent soul print, for the specific constellation of scars and triumphs that make us who we are. What a charming piece of fiction. What a comforting lullaby to sing ourselves to sleep. The truth is often far more architectural and far less personal. You meet her and you feel it, a connection, a current. But what are you connecting to? You think it's her laughter, the specific way she tucks her hair behind her ear, the ideas that light up her eyes. You are a fool. You are not connecting with a person. You are interfacing with a void, an absence, a hollow space carved out by loneliness or a father's indifference, or a past betrayal that left a perfect U-shaped wound in her psyche. And you, with your eagerness to please, your alchemist's desire to fix. You see this beautiful, tragic emptiness, and you think it is a doorway, an invitation. So, you contort yourself to fit the lock. You become the missing piece. If she craves validation, you become her tireless admirer. If she fears chaos, you become her bastion of stability. If she is bored, you become her court jester, her parade, her perpetual motion machine of novelty. You are not her lover. You are her bespoke prosthetic. And you are so proud of how perfectly you function, you never stop to ask if she feels the limb, or just the relief of no longer limping. In the old Jewish quarter of Prague, they tell the story of the golem, a giant man of clay brought to life by a rabbi to protect his people from persecution. It was a marvel of power and obedience. It had no will, no desire, no fear. It was pure function. It did its job magnificently. It patrolled the ghetto, a silent, mud-caked guardian, its eyes empty and absolute. But then, the threat subsided. The pogroms ceased. Peace of a sort returned. And the golem? It became a problem. A terrifying relic. What do you do with a creature of immense, mindless strength when there is nothing left to fight? It paced. It waited for orders that never came. Its presence became a source of fear, not comfort, a reminder of a pain they wanted to forget. So, the story goes, the rabbi climbed a ladder, reached up to the creature's impassive face, and erased the first letter from the word emet, truth, that was carved on its forehead. The word became met, death, and the golem, that loyal, perfect protector, collapsed into a pile of lifeless clay. Its service was no longer required. This is the fate of the man who exists only to fill a need. You are the golem. Your strength is her temporary comfort. Your devotion is her shield. But when she heals, when she grows, when she slays her own dragons or simply gets bored of them, you will be decommissioned. And it will not be a dramatic, tearful betrayal. It will be a quiet, administrative act. A simple erasure. You will look at her one day and see not a flicker of the need that once animated your entire existence in her eyes. And in that moment, you will crumble into dust. This isn't just folklore. It's the bleeding edge of our grim little science. I was reading a preprint of a 25 meta-analysis. I think it was in the Lancet Psychiatry. The paper was on a theory called compensatory attachment. It argued that a significant percentage of modern relationships are not based on genuine compatibility, but on a subconscious search for a psychological medic. The partner isn't chosen, they are prescribed to treat the anxiety, to soothe the abandonment wound, to counter the narcissism of a parent. The attraction isn't love. It's a form of self-medication. And what happens when the patient feels better? They stop taking the medicine, or they develop a tolerance. Here, in the dark, let's be honest. This is where the fleeting, fragile hope comes in. It's a terrifying hope, the kind that feels more like falling than flying. The moment she decommissions you, is the moment you are set free. The collapse of the golem is the liberation of the clay. The pain is blinding, yes. To realize you were never seen, never truly loved for you, but only for the service you provided. It's an agony that hollows you out. But then, in that new echoing silence within yourself, a question can finally be heard for the first time. A question you were too busy, too desperate, too functional to ever ask before. If I am not her healer, if I am not her protector, if I am not her distraction, then who and what am I? The answer will not come from her. It can't. The search for it is the beginning of building a man who is not a prosthetic, not a golem, but a sovereign being. A man who is not a key, waiting for a lock, but a house unto himself. So, I ask you, and I want you to answer in the silence of your own mind, with the brutal honesty of a man looking at his own X-ray. What is the name of the demon you are helping her keep sedated? Is it loneliness? Is it inadequacy? Is it daddy issues? Give it a name. And now, tell me, what happens to you when she finally learns to slay it herself? Your pain is only interesting as a performance. Your genuine suffering is a tedious burden. I knew a man once, a poet of course, a man whose heart was a beautifully fragile antique, all filigree and cracks. One evening, under the weight of some great unspoken sorrow, he finally confessed to his lover. "My love," he whispered, his voice trembling. "My heart is broken." She looked at him with an expression of profound seriousness. She left the room and returned a moment later, not with a blanket, not with a glass of brandy, not with her arms open for an embrace. She handed him a mop. "Don't get me wrong," she said, gesturing vaguely at his chest. "The tragedy is exquisite, but you're making a mess on my floor." We have been sold a monstrous lie, the lie of the sensitive man. We are told that vulnerability is strength, that opening our hearts is the key to deep connection. And it is, but only on the poster for the film. In the gritty, unedited documentary of real life, there is a crucial distinction, a piece of fine print that nobody ever reads aloud. There is your wound, and then there is your weeping. Your wound is magnificent. It's the dark backstory. It's the mysterious limp, the haunted look in your eyes, the reason you stand alone at parties staring into the middle distance. It is the source of your fascinating melancholy. It makes you a landscape, a rugged coastline full of shadowed coves and dangerous cliffs. It's something for her to explore, to decipher. It is a romantic puzzle box. Your wound makes you interesting. Your weeping, however, is just wet. It's messy. It is inconvenient. It's the raw, uncurated, biological fact of your suffering. It's the snot, the incoherent sobbing, the panicked 3 a.m. phone calls. It is not a puzzle box. It is a backed-up sewer. It is not a landscape. It is a swamp. And nobody wants to build a house in a swamp. They tell a story in the old Slavic lands of a great czar who fell for a rusalka, a water spirit with eyes the color of river moss and hair like tangled moonlight. She was drawn to him, to the profound sadness that seemed to hang around him like a winter mist. She would watch him from the reeds as he stared at his own grim reflection in the water. His stoic, silent pain was the most beautiful poem she had ever known. One night, he broke. Consumed by his despair, he fell to his knees at the riverbank and wept. He wept openly, hideously. His face contorted, his shoulders shook, and great ugly sobs tore from his throat. The rusalka, watching from the water, did not feel pity. She felt disgust. The beautiful silent poem had become a clumsy, howling drunk. The fascinating mist had become a dirty puddle. She laughed, a sound like cracking ice, and slipped back into the depths, leaving him to drown in the spectacle of his own unfiltered misery. This isn't just cruelty, it's a matter of philosophical language. That great mustachioed pessimist Nietzsche understood this. He spoke of master and slave morality. The master values strength, control, pride, the overcoming of self. The slave, lacking power, creates a morality out of weakness, pity, humility, dependence. They make a virtue of their suffering to guilt the master into caring. When you present your raw, needy pain to her, you are speaking the language of the slave. You are begging for pity. You are confessing that you have no mastery over your own inner world. and to the part of her that is hardwired to be attracted to power, not political power, but the power of self-possession. Your weeping is not a plea for connection. It is an admission of your own inferiority. It is, in her primal language, contemptible. Even our modern sciences, in their sterile, white-coated way, are catching up to this ancient, brutal wisdom. A 23 cross-cultural study on what they called affective contempt triggers found something rather stark. Across 18 different countries, from hyper-individualist societies to collectivist ones, unsolicited displays of male emotional neediness were a more potent and reliable predictor of declining female sexual desire than almost any other factor. More than job loss, more than political disagreements. Your tears are a greater repellent than your poverty. Think of your life as a grand, tragic opera. She is in the audience, in a velvet chair, utterly captivated. The lighting is perfect. The music swells. Your performance of the heartbroken hero is breathtaking. Bravo! She weeps. She throws a rose onto the stage. She wants to meet the brilliant, tortured artist after the show. But she does not want to come backstage. She does not want to see you under the harsh, fluorescent lights, sweating through your cheap costume, your makeup running, complaining to the stagehands that the smoke machine is irritating your sinuses. The performance is everything. The reality is a tedious administrative problem. The liberation, if you can call it that, is in finally understanding this. You can stop hoping for a nurse and start appreciating the theater critic. It is a cold and lonely freedom, but it is freedom nonetheless. It is the freedom to stop auditioning for a part that was never on offer, the part of the human man. So, let me issue you a little challenge, a dare, if you will. Go on then, do it. The next time you feel that wave of genuine, pathetic, unpoetic despair, show it to her. Show her the unedited, director's cut footage of your soul's complete nervous breakdown. Let her see the raw fear, the snot, the ugly crying. See if she gives you a standing ovation or hands you an invoice for the cleaning bill. The man who needs nothing is the one thing she cannot resist trying to own. There's a quiet, a stillness you can build inside yourself. At first, it feels like a tomb, cold, empty, the silence deafening. You are terrified of it because it is the antithesis of the chase. The chase is noise, motion, heat. It is a frantic outward explosion of energy. You run, you perform, you plead, you burn. You define your existence by the pursuit of something external. But if you can bear that initial terror, if you can sit in that silent room long enough, something remarkable happens. The tomb becomes a womb, and then it becomes a throne room. You have been taught that love is an act of acquisition, a hunt, but you have it all backward. The most powerful force of attraction in the universe is not pursuit, it is gravity. And gravity is not a thing you do. It is a thing you are. It is the result of mass. All the great legends understand this. Think of the hermit on the mountain. He does not advertise. He does not send out invitations. He does not have a charming social media presence. He sits, he breathes. He is utterly, completely absorbed in the landscape of his own consciousness. He wants nothing from the village below. He needs none of their praise, their food, their company. And so they are obsessed with him. They climb the treacherous path, bearing gifts he did not ask for, seeking wisdom he does not offer. They project all their own hopes, fears, and desires onto his silence. His lack of need becomes a vacuum that pulls their own neediness into it. His self-possession is a mystery so profound they feel an irresistible urge to solve it, to penetrate it, to own a piece of it. He does not chase them, so they must chase him. This is not a tactic. Let me be clear. This is the crucial point where most men fail. They perform indifference. They act aloof. They play the part of the hermit, all the while peeking from behind a rock to see if the pilgrims are coming. This is just another act in the theater of indifference. It is a lie, and the feminine intuition, which is nothing more than a highly specialized detector of need, will smell the fraud on you from a mile away. No, this must be real, a genuine turning inward. This is the wisdom of the old Stoics, of Marcus Aurelius writing in his tent on the cold German frontier. He spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress within the soul, so well constructed and self-sufficient that the chaos of the world, the betrayals of friends, the whims of emperors, the seductions of lovers could not breach its walls. The goal was not to build a fortress to impress others. The fortress was the prize. The peace within its walls was the victory. The man who has built this citadel no longer looks to another person for shelter. He is the shelter. He no longer seeks a flame to warm him. He is the fire. And this creates a devastatingly attractive paradox. Our neurologists, with their beautiful cold machines, are beginning to map the geography of this phenomenon. A 24 neuroimaging study on what they termed the charisma of non-reactivity made waves in certain circles. They found that individuals who demonstrated lower cortisol spikes and less amygdala activation in response to social validation cues. In simple terms, people who didn't get a desperate hit from praise or a crushing blow from criticism were consistently rated by others as more trustworthy, more competent, and yes, more sexually desirable. Their calm is mistaken for control. Their self-possession is perceived as power. Your neurological independence from her opinion is the one thing that will make her opinion of you skyrocket. You stop being the alchemist, frantically trying to turn your guts into gold for her. You stop being the golem, waiting for a purpose from her. You stop being the weeping actor, begging for her applause. You simply are. You become the mountain. You focus on your own geology. The slow, patient work of building your own interests, your own principles, your own peace. You read the books you want to read. You listen to the music that rearranges your soul. You walk the paths that call to you. You build a life so rich, so dense, so intrinsically valuable to you that the presence or absence of a romantic partner becomes secondary. An interesting variable, perhaps, but not the equation itself. This is the great liberation. The fragile, terrifying hope that deepens all the darkness we've discussed. You stop chasing what destroys you, and in the quiet aftermath, you begin building something that sustains you. And the gravitational pull of a man who sustains himself is irresistible. He becomes a source, a center, a sovereign nation. And people are always fascinated by a king who is content to rule a kingdom of one. Which leads us to a final, curious riddle. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, it makes no sound. We know this one. But if a man builds a kingdom within himself, a kingdom of silence and strength and solitude, and no one is there to see it, what then is the sound of a queen knocking at the gate? Love is the story you agree to tell each other to hide the terrifying truth. You are and always will be alone. Let me tell you the secret handshake of all the happy couples you see. The ones who make it, the ones who grow old together, their hands wrinkled into a perfect, practiced knot. Let me tell you the whispered password that grants them entry into the decades. It isn't "I love you." It's a quiet, unspoken agreement made in the dead of night when the day's performances are over. It is a shared glance that says, none of this is real. The ground beneath our feet is a void. But isn't this a beautiful story we're telling? Let's promise not to wake each other up. This is the final truth, the one that lies beneath all the others. Love, the grand, romantic, soulmate epic, is the most elegant and necessary conspiracy ever devised by humankind. It is a shared fiction, a folie à deux, a beautiful, beautiful lie we agree to tell to keep the existential horror at bay. In the snowy mountains of Japan, they speak of the Yuki Onna, the snow woman, an ethereal spirit of the ice, deadly and beautiful. One story tells of how she fell in love with a mortal man. She married him, and they had children. She was a perfect wife, and he adored her. Their life was full of warmth and laughter, a small, bright fire against the endless winter. But she made him swear one vow. He must never, ever reveal who she truly was. For years, he kept his promise. Their love was real. Their home was real. Then one night, watching her sleep, her skin impossibly pale in the moonlight, he was overcome with awe. He turned to her and whispered, "I know you are not human. You are the snow woman, and you are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." He thought it was the ultimate confession of love, but he had broken the foundational rule. He had spoken the truth. He had stopped playing the game. The Yuki Onna opened her eyes, a terrible sadness within them. And as a tear fell from her eye, she melted away into a gust of cold wind and fine snow, leaving him alone in a silent house with a broken promise. Their love was not a lie, their happiness was not a lie, but it was all contingent upon upholding the story. The moment one of them admitted they were living in a fable, the fable dissolved. This is the great, terrifying insight of the existentialists. Sartre told us we are condemned to be free. Camus showed us the universe is silent to our pleas for meaning. We are born alone, we die alone, and in between, we are adrift in a chasm of radical, terrifying solitude. This is the fundamental condition of our existence. And what is love then? What is this magnificent, all-consuming obsession? It is the grandest project we undertake to forget. It is the most beautiful cathedral we build to obscure the view of the abyss. It is an act of shared bad faith, a willing delusion. We look into another's eyes and see a reflection, and for a glorious moment, we believe we are not alone in the mirror. The Parisian sociologists have even given this a name, in their chic, detached way. They call it the folie à deux modèle of relational stability. Their 23 papers proposed that the durability of a long-term bond is directly proportional not to honesty or compatibility, but to the couple's mutual investment in a foundational fiction. A core, unprovable story about themselves. We were meant to be. We complete each other. Our love can conquer all. The moment one partner stops believing in the fiction, they don't just threaten the relationship. They threaten the shared sanity that the relationship was built to protect. Think of it this way. Love is two small children, lost in an infinite dark forest. They are holding hands. The comfort they feel does not come from the belief that they can fight off the wolves or find their way home. They both know, on some level, that they are doomed. The comfort comes from the warmth of the other's hand. It is the simple, profound proof that they are not dreaming this nightmare alone. The bond is not the plan of escape. The bond is the shared terror, and so we arrive at the end. The man who has survived the alchemist's furnace, who has seen his own face as the golem, who has walked off the stage of the theater, who has built a quiet kingdom in his own solitude. What does he do with this final, terrible truth? He is finally free to love the lie for what it is. He no longer needs the story to save him from his solitude, because he has already made peace with his solitude. He can now participate in the beautiful fiction, not out of desperation, but out of choice. He can hold her hand in the dark forest, knowing it will not lead to a way out, but appreciating the warmth for its own sake. He can admire the delicate construction of the shared world, knowing it is built on a foundation of nothing. He can love the actress and the act without being destroyed when the play is over. This is the strange liberation. It is a love without illusions, which is the only form of love that can truly last. It is a promise not to save each other, but to stand with each other as the darkness gathers. So, when you are lying next to her in the dark, after the loving and the talking is done, and you feel that immense silent chasm of space between your two separate consciousnesses, and the terrifying truth of your aloneness settles upon you, ask yourself this: are you terrified of the emptiness, or are you, just for a moment, grateful for the honesty of the abyss?